Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Yeah.
Good morning. Happy Thursday. We've made it. Thursdays are Friday. It's complicated math. We're very excited about it here at Run It Back. Michelle, Chandler, Lou, how are we doing this morning, guys?
Can't complain, Beads.
All right, good morning, Beads. How we feeling?
We are feeling fantastic. Ready to talk some basketball.
Sound a little stuffy, Beads.
It's the allergies. Like, you know how it is. It's like 3 out of every 4 days is an allergy day. It is what it is. How are you feeling? You usually have them worse than me.
You know what? I feel great going to Florida today. It's freezing, getting out of this cold.
Why are you talking like that?
Yeah, why are these questions?
I'm waiting on this camera to do that weird thing it does, and I look like a robot. So all is good so far.
No, we're all good. We look even.
So I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah, we're centered. You guys, we're killing this. We're going to kill this. We're going to talk some hoops. Let's get into it. Rockets, Cavs. That's our first game to discuss. Shingun. 5 straight wins for Houston, by the way, 114-104. He finishes with 28, 11, and 7. Kevin Durant had his 20. Houston out-rebounds Cleveland 51-39. I think that's interesting. Donovan Mitchell, like we've seen this before, his fourth quarter craziness. He had 19 in the fourth in this one. Well, we can talk about that in a second. They are 10-1 since they started the season with 2 losses, and we all started to doubt them right away. Lou, I'll start with you. They've obviously shown something, and they've turned things around. Are they now the biggest threat to the Thunder?
I think they're the real deal. I think between them and Denver, those are going to be the 2 teams that's going to give OKC a run for their money when it comes to postseason basketball play. I think Houston has all of the pieces. They can score with the best of them. They can put a bunch of points on the board. But the surprising thing is they're top 5 defense and allowing points scored as well. You know, so when you look at both of those things and you look at a team led by Sengun and Kevin Durant and they're playing at a high level, they're going to be a threat to anybody. Now, the only thing for me is when it comes to OKC, they've created so much separation in how they play and how they operate as a team and the pieces they have. We're yet to see Jalen Williams on the floor for this team, and they're still rolling. They're still beating everybody, and they've created so much separation from whoever the second-place team is. And another threat for me, I feel like it's going to be Denver. Denver is going to be in that conversation as well with the year that Joker is having and along with Jamal Murray. And that 2-point. And a lot of people aren't even talking about Aaron Gordon and the way that he's been impactful for that team as well. Those are going to be the top 3 teams I feel like that's going to be in this conversation. But Houston is definitely doing its thing on both ends of the basketball. And it's only been a sample size, but I like where they stand as far as competitive nature and where they are in the West right now.
Yeah, and we've talked about how deep the Western Conference is since jump, right? We knew Oklahoma City, what they were going to do. Now, I don't know if we knew they were going to go 15-1. And by the way, I looked ahead at their schedule. There's a good chance this team goes like 32-3. Like they are so good, and there's such a difference between them right now and these other teams. But Houston's there. Denver's there, the 2 teams that Lou mentioned. And then there's the sneaky teams. The Lakers, they're starting to get healthy. They're figuring things out. Minnesota Timberwolves are a team that can get hot, and they have a lot of talent. And then the Spurs, when they're fully healthy, they're so young, and I still think they're a year away. But, man, when they're fully healthy, they defend. They're so versatile. So I think those 5 teams all really have a chance to continue to get better throughout this season. But when you look at the starting 5 of Houston and you look at the play now that Reece Shepard's starting to give you, Aaron Holiday gives you 18 last night, and you look at the size of their starting 5. Their smallest guy in the starting lineup is Amen Thompson. He's 6'6". So I'm not surprised at how good of an offensive rebounding team they are. You got Sengun playing at an All-NBA level. Kevin Durant, I've never seen him seems to be at peace. Oh, no, is it doing it?
Drink. If you had it on your bingo card, take a drink. We got it.
Kevin Durant seems to be at peace right now, just kind of praising Sengun and all his teammates. So Houston is red hot right now, and they are going to be a tough out because in the playoff series, come half court offense, this team can beat you in a bunch of different ways. They're so big and tall and athletic on the offensive glass, and they showed that last night. They can really beat you up there and dominate on the glass. So they're good. And it's still, to me, it's Oklahoma City and then Denver and Houston right there. And then those other 3 teams I mentioned, though. The Western Conference is still stacked.
By the way, just not to get ahead of ourselves, but tomorrow they do have a cup game against Denver. So that's a must see. Put it on your calendar. Speaking of, just put Jokic to the side. And Chandler, I have loved the sort of mutual love fest that's been going on between KD and Şengün. I just think it's a really good story. And he's so complimentary. And he said he's never played with a big man that scores the way he does. So we got Jokic. He's in a category of his own. Is Şengün the best scoring big right now? Besides,
I mean, outside of Jokic, you look at the numbers; they don't lie. And this dude, I think it's the way he plays. He's so versatile. He's so agile for a big man to kind of lead the offense, to get the defensive rebound, and push the break. So he's one of them. And if you look at the stats, I mean, Markkanen, he's not really a 5; he's more of a 4. Markkanen, Jokic, and Wemby are the only guys that are the technically bigs that are averaging more points than him. So it's a fair comment for him to say that. It's a fair comment for him to believe that. And I think with this makeup of this team, they can really showcase his versatility all season long. And I don't think this is like a fool's gold thing where he's averaging crazy numbers early and it's going to tinker off. I think he's going to stay right where he is or get better. He's shooting a 3-pointer at 45%, I think it was. So he can do it all. He can step out. He punishes smaller guys on him. And there's no real recipe of guarding this guy. So outside those other 3 guys that statistically average more points right now, he's right there.
I think this is fun to watch. I love it. Okay, let's do a little Cavs here because Nick Van Exel said that when they lost JB Bickerstaff, the Cavs lost their toughness. I love sentences like this because it goes many different ways. He also, look, he went on to say Kenny Atkinson is a great coach. There's nothing wrong with that, but he's offensive minded. And that a lot of times coaches and teams will sort of take each other's personalities on. Lou, I'm wondering if you agree that Cleveland has lost their toughness.
Well, I said it yesterday. I didn't say that they lost their toughness, but I just would like to see them be a tougher basketball team. Like you want to see them get a little grind, a little grittier, get down on the floor and mix it up with some teams, especially with the identity that they have. I think they play a pretty style of basketball. They play a very flowing style of basketball. And as we know in the postseason, it's gonna get tough. You got to get your hands dirty. And I just want to see them have that. So I'm not going to comment to what they didn't have and what they don't. I just want to see them be a tougher team moving forward. And to speak to Kenny Atkinson, I work with both of these guys. I work with Nick Van Exel at the same time that I work with Kenny Atkinson in Atlanta. And, Kenny doesn't have the reputation for being a super tough type of basketball coach, but he knows what he's doing and he's no pushover either at the same time. And teams are a reflection of their coach a lot of the times. And so, with that, Kenny is going to put them in the positions to be successful on the offensive end. He knows what he's doing when it comes to drawing up plays and putting guys in the right position to score the basketball. But, as far as toughness, that got to be in you. That has to be part of your makeup individually, and then you bring that to the table. So this team very much has the personality of their coach, but at the same time, toughness is going to come from each individual guy and pulling that out of themselves, So I don't know if they lost their toughness when they fired JB. I think naturally they got a bunch of nice guys. They have a bunch of guys that carries themselves like that, but I just want to see them get their hands dirty a little bit more than where they are right now, especially when it comes to a deep postseason run. There's going to be some grind out games where it's going to be low scoring, where the game is not going to be as free flowing. They're going to take away some of your cuts. They're going to take away some of your first and second options, where you're going to have to get it down to your third and fourth opportunities on the offensive end. And that's where the toughness is going to come in. Not necessarily just pushing people around and wanting to fight. No, we mean mental toughness. We mean toughness going out there and just trying to operate in a space where when things get tough, you have guys that are built for it. Even Donovan Mitchell mentioned it. They weren't tested. They weren't battle tested. Mm-hmm. Everybody is talking about the toughness of the Cleveland Cavaliers, including the Cleveland Cavaliers and especially their best player. So when those questions are being asked, you got to find that somewhere, especially if you want to compete for a championship.
Yeah, and listen, we're one season removed from Kenny Atkinson winning Coach of the Year, so it's hard to insult him in any way. But when you look at the makeup of this team, who is their enforcer? Who is their Draymond Green? Yeah. Who is that guy that when push comes to shove in a playoff series, then they have more talent, they score more points usually. Who's going to be that difference maker? And I think that's what Van Exel means, and that's where I do agree. When you look at the makeup of these two rosters, There's no way that the Detroit Pistons are getting punked this year. And I don't think that's all on JB Bickerstaff instilling this crazy tough. I think that's just the
What in the
to do with, but also that's on the players. Put Isaiah Stewart on the Cavs, put some other guys like that on that Cavs roster. I think they automatically overnight gain some toughness, but Kenny's always been an offensive coach, and their offense has taken a little hit. Last year when they started off 15-0 and they were rolling, they were the number 1 offense. They're the number 7 now, which is still pretty good, to look at it out of 30 teams. But this is an offensive team, and sometimes that can bite you in the butt come playoff times, come in a series where teams take away what you do best. Then it's all the little things, and it's effort, and it's toughness. And this team hasn't had that in the postseason when it matters the most. So I agree with Van Exel. I think JB was that guy, and I said it countless times. I think that was a bad move. But then again, they hired the guy that won Coach of the Year in his first year. So I think they both won.
No, I think look, I'm not one of those, I'm not cheesy this way, but I think everything happened the way it was supposed to, because honestly, they're both in like really good spots and killing it, especially JB. Jared Allen, look, we got a dunk last night. Doesn't count. However, sometimes you just have to give credit to the art. That's on Shingun.
That is almost top 10.
Know yourself.
I mean, that is
ain't for everybody.
It's a little nasty. I kind of like that it's Jared Allen who's like the nice guy.
It's like when you jump from so far, like Dwight Howard, you don't even touch the rim on a dunk. It's impressive.
Yeah,
God, that must be fun to do.
Attacking the rim, make you foul me. That's toughness. I like it.
I like seeing that.
If he didn't hit him in the face too, it probably counts.
Yeah, that was a fun one. We had to show that one just because it was good. Okay, we had other games. Don't look now, Toronto. Hey, Canada, y'all are having a year. Raptors 5 straight. They beat the Sixers. Now, the Sixers did not have Embiid, PG, or Oubre. That's fine. But that's all right. It's still a win. Scotty Barnes was 16, 9, and 5. 6 players in Toronto had double figures. They outscored Philadelphia 46-22 in the third. And don't look now, but Toronto is sitting second in the East, 3 games behind the Pistons. I know. We always talk about fool's gold and things are given out and all that stuff, Chandler. But I mean, do we have to start taking them a little more seriously?
I think they deserve the flowers. I think they deserve the respect for this kind of start. They have 3 dudes that are averaging right around 20. Their top 4 guys have played in every single game. So when you look at Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram, Barrett, and Quigley, they've played every game. So they've been blessed with health, which you see obviously across the league. A lot of teams do not have that luxury right now. So they've had that consistent lineup. Their bench is where it gets a little thin. They got a guy like Jamal Shed playing a lot of minutes. Grady Dick, I thought he was going to be one of those guys that would take a jump. He's been kind of struggling. So I think their bench is thin. They don't have a lot of size outside of Jacob Poeltl, but their record's undeniable. The way they play is undeniable. I think this is a little similar to Chicago getting off to a hot start, where I think they're going to come back down to earth a little bit. But this is a versatile team. Think about those 3 guys that I said, Barrett, Ingram, and Barnes. They're all so interchangeable. They're all 6'7" to 6'9". They can switch on defense. They all can handle. They all can set the action. So they're on to something here. I just don't. Are they a top 4 team in the East? I don't see it over an 82 game series, or season. But 10-5, second in the East. It's nothing but positive vibes and good things to say about them so far in the season.
I say, why not? The East is all over the place.
There you go. It's fair.
I'm gonna take everybody for face value until somebody creates some separation in the East. I'm taking everybody at face value. Look, 2 weeks ago, Chicago was in this conversation. I said Chicago was one of the better teams at this time. We're still very early in this season, and a lot of teams are still right there in the mix. Some of these second place teams, they're 2 games away from being an 8th place team. So we're still very young in this season, but I do like what Toronto is building. I like the identity. We just talked about Barnes. We just talked about RJ Barrett and Brandon Ingram. Like, shine a light on Brandon Ingram. I think people forget how good of a basketball player he is because he's dealt with injuries. But that 1-2 punch with him and Scotty Barnes, they are a dangerous duo. And then when you mix in RJ Barrett, he's also a guy that was highly touted when he played for New York. Quickly played that 6-man role in New York, but starting now. Now all of these guys are starting to come into their own and still very young in this league. I think people forget that Scotty Barnes is just 24 years old. So these guys are still finding their rhythm, still finding their groove and what type of players they are. And they've been a perfect match, you know. So shout out to the Toronto Raptors, we the North, and all of that stuff that they like to say up there. That is a great place to play basketball, especially when you're winning games. So they should be happy with the group that they have. And I think this team is going to be good. I do agree with Chandler that bench is a little thin. That's going to be worrisome when some of these teams start to get healthy and teams start to be whole. How can you go to your second group and withstand leads or go get leads during games? You know, that's going to be a concern of theirs moving forward. But right now, they're playing really good basketball.
What do they need? I mean, look, they got 5 players that are averaging between 12 and 21. You mentioned Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes. Like, if you could just have a magic wand, what would you add, Chandler? What would they need to really push this thing forward?
Don't know if, when you look at their future, I think Scotty Barnes, he is the franchise piece. But ball in hand, game on the line, I think Brandon Ingram is now their guy. He's kind of their facilitator. He's their go-get-a-bucket guy. And then RJ Barrett's kind of somewhere in between, right? He's kind of that scoring, high volume, take a bunch of shots. And some nights you're going to have to live with him, you know, shooting 30% from the field. But then there's some nights he can get hot and he can go for 40, 50 points. So they have the talent, they have the scoring, they have the versatility of those 3 wings. I love Emmanuel Quigley. I do love Grady Dick, even though he's averaging, 7 or 8 points a game this year. I think he's going to get going. They need more depth. I think they need more depth. They need more size. Really, Jacob Poeltl is the only big man that they really have that's, going to play valuable minutes. And so I think, and I just don't know if those 3 guys, those 3 wings, are enough and consistent enough to separate themselves in the Eastern Conference. It's a great story. It's a great start. 10-5, 2 in the East. There's nothing to snarl at there, but I just don't know if this group can continue to keep that through 82 games. But like I said, it's an awesome start and they're on to something and they are pretty young. Like you look at RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes, like they're building something there. I just still think they're years away.
Yeah, and for me, I think they got the guard play on lock. I think they're in a great position with guards and guys that can score the basketball. But they gotta. Where's the size, right? Like Poeltl is your guy. Listen, in that East, he's gonna have to go through Bam. He's gonna have to go through Mobley, Allen, Cat, even Giannis. You could throw Giannis on that list. If Joel Embiid gets healthy, you're going to have to deal with some size in that East. So that's the only thing that concerns me about the Toronto Raptors. But as far as small ball goes, and they're going to play these 4 guards along with Poeltl out there being on the floor with them, I think it's a good mix. But if you're going to play half-court basketball, and some of these teams, they feature big guys that can shoot and that can post up and do all of these things and can match you eye for an eye when it comes to offensive rebounding and defensive rebounding, that'll be a concern for me moving forward.
Guys, I'm going to correct us right now because there's nothing that irks me more than when I hear people say names incorrectly. And you will respect Jacob Poeltl. You will respect Poeltl the Turtle. Poeltl the Turtle. That's how you'll remember it for the rest of your life.
Doesn't look like that would be it.
It's clearly a different nation of origin spelling.
I knew I was saying it wrong, but I was just going to die on that hill. I wasn't tripping.
Well, no, because Chandler did it, and I was like, no, it's.
I thought I nailed it. I said it with confidence.
I knew I was saying it wrong.
You did actually. You know what? And that's what made me go. You know what? I'm proud of you because you did say it with confidence. But now we're going to be smarter than everyone else on television. Okay. All right, we got Warriors Heat. Here's the thing. If you paid to see Steph, Draymond, Jimmy, or Kuminga, or Al Horford play last night in Miami, well, you didn't get to. And the Heat took advantage of that. A 110-96 win. Norman Powell with 25 and 6. Bam! 27. Pajemski had 20 and 8. Buddy Hield with his 18. But yeah, all those guys sat out. There were a variety of reasons. It was the 17th game in the last 29 days in 12 different cities that the Warriors have played. And if you haven't been paying attention at home, Kerr's been very vocal about it. Quote, "It's been the toughest early schedule I've ever been a part of in my entire NBA life." Been saying a lot about that, Chandler, a lot of schedule talk, and then all these guys sit. So I'm wondering, it seems like a big number this early on in the season. If you go back and compare to others, it is a big number, but what changes are we making here? Like, what would you make?
I think it's just the luck of the draw here, right? It's all going to even out. Every team plays the same amount of games. So I get it, especially with a team of a bunch of veteran players that are older. type of schedule, right? As deep as the Western Conference is, as tough as every single night has been, at their age, there's more load management than a San Antonio, than a Oklahoma City. Now, I also think everything evens out. And again, when you look at it right now, Houston's only played like 13 or 14 games. So the fact that Golden State has played 4 or 5 or 6 more games in that small period, that is tough being, at their age and the status where they are in their career. But also, again, other teams are going to go through it. Other teams are going to have the same amount of back-to-backs, and it's all going to balance out. So is it a tough break to start off this way and kind of dig this hole and force guys to sit the one time they go to the Eastern Conference? Like, that does suck. We talk about this all the time. I think Steve Kerr has even said this before. I want our guys to play. I want fans to get that experience. Well, the Golden State Warriors go to Miami one time this year, and they didn't get to see any of those guys play. So you can't have it both ways.
Like, you didn't even get that.
Exactly. So you can't have it both ways. I do think it'll all even out. The schedule makers didn't try and stiff the Warriors this year. I think that's just how it worked out, and I think it's all going to balance. So tough break for them. But again, that just means their schedule is about to get lighter and a little bit looser. So it's good times to come.
I kind of want to. I would want to.
Chandler said it perfect. From top to bottom, he said it perfect. It's not really a lot that I can expand on that. But again, if you're going through the ringer, if you're going through the ringer early in this season like this, listen, at some point, it's going to be favorable for them where they're going to have a bunch of home games, and they're going to be able to rack up games if they can compete at a high level with the age of this team and dealing with some of these knick-knack injuries. But like I said, like Chandler just said, it's all going to balance out. Everybody is going to go through it at some point in this season. It just so happened to be early for the Golden State Warriors.
I know. I feel like it's psychological. Like, if you have a daunting list of things, I'd rather get the hard stuff over with first and then just sort of cruise. Hopefully.
Call me crazy. I'd rather this way. Obviously, I don't want to be 500, but I'd rather get this part out of the way, be where I am, and know easier roads are ahead, especially with this team. I want to be playing my best basketball later in the season, post All-Star weekend. And that's when their schedule is going to loosen up.
Yep.
Not even your best basketball, but you don't want to be in the hunt and have to go on the road for 2.5 weeks and do this schedule while you're in the hunt trying to find a position. You'd rather be in the hunt at your home, being able to sleep in your bed, being able to be comfortable, and in an environment where you're gonna have support from your fan base. So going through this right now and being able to survive it, I think this works for them in the long run.
Yeah, it feels like when you ask someone you want the good news or the bad news first, it feels like Steve Kerr wants the good news first, and I don't understand that. I want the bad first. Let me deal. Let me get it over with. He did have perhaps his version of an explanation of why things are happening the way they are. Said the Warriors medical staff, and along with this increased sort of pace paired with all of the schedule and everything else, is why we're seeing so much of these soft tissue injuries across the league. I know we're not doctors, Lou, but why don't we go ahead and pretend we are?
They don't make me Dr. Williams.
Well, you could be a doctor. Does that feel like maybe that is an explanation? And a reminder, he does have an older team, so that has to be mentioned as well. But
yeah, I'm interested to see where all of this information and data goes as far as the injuries. Obviously we've been highlighting calves a lot because the calf injury has been happening to a lot of our marquee guys. As far as the pace of the game, I can't speak to the pace. It looks regular to me. I know that they're getting up and down the floor a lot more, but we're also shooting a lot of jump shots and a lot of three-pointers as well. And it's not so much contact and running as much. Guys are running from three-point line to three-point line. And so that's what's interesting to me, that, with the concerns, with the information and even opinions like mine right now, we just really don't know what's at stake and what's at play here with all of these things. So I'm curious to see where this goes, where this conversation leads to. But the one thing that we all do know is injuries are a part of the game. There's no way around injuries. Now, what are we to do? Are we to shorten the schedule? Are we to change the style of play? It is what it is in a lot of these scenarios. So no matter what the data shows, the situation is going to be the situation, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah. It's always going to be unpredictable in any sport, in any field. You can't predict health. You can't predict if you're going to get sick. You can't predict if you're going to get hurt. That is just life. That is just part of it that you have to deal with. Now, Can you shorten the season and lose millions of dollars? Sure, that's not going to happen. Can you tell teams to play slower pace or shorten the game? That's not going to happen. It's like my first injury, I literally fell down. My foot got caught in a guy's jersey and I chipped cartilage in my knee. No matter if I didn't play the night before or if I did my cardio or didn't practice or I was non-contact, that still would have happened. And I still would have got hurt no matter what proper steps I took before that. So again, I think it's minimizing it. I think it's limiting your exposure to it. But at the end of the day, injuries are a part of it and they're going to happen regardless of if the season is, because you know what? We shorten the season to 60 games. Guys are going to play 46 minutes out of the 48 minutes, and they're still going to have opportunity to get hurt because they're going to want to play more, and they're going to want to play just as fast, and they're not going to want to sit on back-to-backs because there's less games. So I don't think there's a fix. I love that we have all the analytics and all the crazy high-tech science now where the injuries shouldn't be happening, because I think we're the smartest and best we've ever been innovative, like medically. So it doesn't make sense of why, but I think it's also just part of the game. It's part of life. It's bound to happen and there's no way to stop it. It's unfortunate, but I just don't see it ever being controlled. It's physically impossible.
Yeah, it's. I wonder if the NFL, because like we had a weekend where like 5 quarterbacks left games. Like I don't know if they spend as much time discussing this as we do over here on this side of the pond. But Jimmy Butler, we love to read into everything, and as we mentioned, he didn't play, and this would have been a cool return, but he didn't shake hands with anybody. And again, not in a uniform, so I don't even know if it counts. Chandler, is this a big deal? I mean, he did fist bump that guy.
It doesn't count. Like who knows if he saw them pregame? Who knows if he saw him in the locker room before? Who knows if he had dinner with him last night? Like we're gonna try and make this a story because all the drama that surrounded that situation and the Warriors and the Miami Heat and his time there and Spoelstra and their beef. But at the end of the day, he could have literally just talked to them during warmups. He could have talked to them during chapel. He could have talked to them any time throughout the day or last night. So I don't look into this.
Chandler's on the roll today. Everything he's saying, I'm agreeing. I'm going to retweet everything that he's saying today. Listen, a lot of times guys get to the arena so early. You see your friends, you see the equipment managers, you see the guys that you were cool with, the ticket attendants and the people that helped your mom and your family get to their seats, and you check in with all of these people before the game even starts. And so when it's done, it's done. You get back to the locker room and you worry about the team that you're playing with, and all of that stuff is over, or everything is going on behind the scenes. So I couldn't agree with Chandler more than that. A lot of times you've already did your hugging and kissing babies and doing all of the welcome back stuff before the cameras are even on. Sometimes when you see guys doing a little too much with the handshakes and the hugs pregame, right before tip off, is just theater. It's just something for people to talk about.
It's a lot.
So
I'm anti-hug anyway. So
and also they lost and he didn't play. And I want to say I'm not like, who cares?
Actually, you know what? I think it would have been irritating if he had just hung out and been soshi, because like, yeah, you didn't play and you did lose. Like, I'm over all the hugging. No more hugging in the NBA.
You can't win for losing, so just go to the bat.
I've heard that phrase so many times in the last 48 hours. I went from never hearing it to now I hear it. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. I just wanted to let you guys in on my life. Coming up next, Larry Sanders will join the show. We'll talk some hoops. Hello. We'll be right back.
Run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back.
Victory is online. I'm nice running through the lane, and we ain't scared at all. No, already set.
All right, we take a moment now to welcome in Larry Sanders. Spent 6 years in the league, 5 of those with Milwaukee. Our fellow Scorpio guys celebrating his 37th tomorrow. Any big birthday plans we got going on, Larry?
Hello, everybody. My high school team, our first game is actually tomorrow, so excited about that.
Okay, good luck.
Okay. Good luck. That's how you can do it. Okay, can we talk a little Giannis with you real quick? Because you had the time to play with him, and then we find out yesterday that we got the groin injury and he's going to miss a bit. And we're always trying to figure out, all right, how do you survive? How do you tread water while he's gone? What is the most important thing they got to keep doing while he's out?
I mean, it's their team defense. You know, they gotta make sure they're defensively sound. With him being gone, he's the anchor down there. You know, their speed, them on transition, fast breaks. you know how they play right now, how they hang their hat. So, you know, with him missing, they just got to step it up in those areas.
We had Bobby Portis on yesterday, and he was talking specifically, didn't want to get fined, about how refs sort of do the games that Giannis plays in and then compared it back to the Shaq days. And I'm wondering, you know, from what you've seen, do you think Giannis gets treated differently out there?
By the referees?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think it's a difficult job for the referees. You know, when you have guys who you have that much talent and that much size. You know, playing with LeBron in Cleveland, you know, playing against him, I was like, oh, he cries a lot. And then playing with him, I'm like, he gets no calls because he's so strong and dominant. And I think Giannis is the same way. He's like, if they called every foul, it would slow the game down tremendously.
Yeah, it would. We don't want that.
Larry, the Bucks drafted Giannis while you were there, and I think you were on record saying that he was going to be great. Like, what made you say that? Did you see something in practice where you were like, damn, this kid is going to be a star?
Every day, man, he did something that was super impressive. His stride, his IQ, the way he handled the ball at his size, his passing ability coming into the league was amazing. Wasn't a great shooter when he came into the NBA, but he was so young. I knew that would develop over time. It was just not a lot of players in the NBA at the time that had the attributes he had and could deliver the way he did.
Yeah. And now we starting to see his personality. You know, he's become a superstar now, and you know, you were with him as a rookie, but now we starting to see him try to speak some English, and you know, his English is getting better. He in the commercials. Was he always funny? Was he always a confident, or how was he when he was a young fellow opposed to now?
Well, when he came in, he didn't know much English, so his English was very low.
Still, though,
he was always playful.
I love
always
that.
Had that childlike energy. Just full of energy. Just in love with the game. You know, it just reminds me of that childlike energy when we first started playing ball, and we just couldn't wait to get on the court. He embodied that energy as a pro. So.
Larry, when you get to Milwaukee, the greatest Buck ever is probably Oscar Robertson. He wins a championship. He retires there. Some might say Kareem, who won 3 MVPs. Is it now Giannis? Like, has he surpassed both those guys? Is he the greatest Buck of all time?
His career isn't over. You know, he still has a ways to go, but I mean, he's in that trajectory for sure. I think he's definitely on his way to being, you know, the greatest Buck.
Man, that's a fact. Last year we spoke to Michael Carter Williams, and he told us an OJ Mayo story about, you know, OJ having his own type of ways to get some cheese here and there. And we just saw Giannis recently tell an OJ Mayo story about Juice helping to get into his breaking into his own house when he was locked out of his crib. Do you have your own favorite OJ Mayo story you want to add to the list?
That's awesome.
Nah, OJ, my guy though, man. I love playing with OJ. OJ's one of the realest dudes I know, man. And he one thing about OJ, he's like the rapper basketball player. OJ is like you live a rapper life. You know, he's with all the rappers, he's in the studios. He was you know, he was just really involved with the culture, man. You know, I think everybody loved OJ.
That's awesome. You played for Jason Kidd up in Milwaukee, and you've talked about sort of how the coaching style took a bit of a toll on you mentally and physically. Now, of course, fast forward to, you know, everything that went down in Dallas and the Luka trade and the stories that Jason Kidd approved, even though he says he didn't know, but there are reports that he approved this trade. Do you think that there's something to do with how Jason Kidd coaches or his style that is part of why Luka was moved in the middle of the night to the Lakers?
Yeah, you know, I'm not the biggest Jason Kidd fan. I'm not gonna lie. we had our falling outs. But I think from my perspective, Jason he played with the balance between player and coach. And I think that you kind of pick a side. I think he just played with that a little bit, and I don't know if that's still in his, he's still dealing with that. But I know early on, I could just tell he didn't know if he was a player or a coach.
Probably a hard. It's probably a hard part to sort of balance there. Can I ask you though? You've been an actor and a producer. You're doing a little bit of everything. What's the thing that you're most proud of having accomplished so far?
Well, I'm a professional dad. I got 4 kids, so I'm gonna say them first. But just being able to transition into other things other than basketball, I've been blessed. I've been blessed to have been able to make some music with Party Next Door and Drake. I did a movie with Terrence Howard. Now I'm coaching basketball. I've been able to do some youth camps. I've just been able to have some success transitioning, which is tough. Even with the success, it's still tough transitioning from sports to business. So, but yeah.
Can I just ask, how was Terrence Howard? Because there's so many fun stories. How was Terrence Howard to work with?
Yeah, he was pretty quiet on set. He was super funny though, super funny.
Okay.
Quiet. And this was before we actually shot this movie back before he kind of came out with what it was so outspoken about his theories and whatnot. But I want to sit with him now.
Got some rounds.
No kidding. He's got some stuff to say now.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Larry, happy birthday again. I hope the day is fabulous tomorrow. We appreciate the time. We'll talk soon.
Tell the boys good luck tomorrow.
Good luck with the team. Yeah.
Run it up, run it back.
Well, Thursday edition of Say What? And Chandler, you're up first on this one. And when I read this, I said, here we go. ESPN's Tim McMahon reported Kyrie's making pretty great progress on the court. However, the return is in question because of, quote, other reasons. There were no other further explanations given on that. We obviously know the team is struggling. Do you think we will see Kyrie this season?
I think it depends. I think the slow start, and I think how they started off so bad and continue to lose games, they, as much as they want to turn around and Kyrie Irving wants to play, they also want to keep their own pick, but that the only one that they have now to 2031. So their only lottery pick that they possibly could keep is this one. So they already are a bad team. They're already kind of playing their way into a top 5 pick. Why rush Kyrie Irving back and possibly prolong his injury at his age and everything he's been through? So I think he wants to play. I know he wants to play, but I just don't think this makes sense for them to rush back. And I know Cuban's saying they want to win. I know Cuban's saying they're not going to trade AD. They're not going to trade Kyrie. Now, I think if it comes down to it where they ask for a trade, I think that might kind of shift the motives there. But this team stinks, and they're not going to rush Kyrie Irving back just to come back here to lose their only pick from now to 2031 that they keep. So I don't see him coming back anytime soon. I think they keep developing Cooper. They keep playing these games. They keep competing, but this team is bound for the lottery, and I think they'd like to keep that pick.
2031 is insane to not have anything between then and now.
Imagine if they lose the pick now.
I know.
For what?
What a bizarre hole you've dug for yourselves. All right, Lou, you're next because we're continuing here with the Dallas theme. Mark Cuban said that the Mavs, we've all said trade Anthony Davis. He said they're not going to trade Anthony Davis because they want to try to win. So first of all, I guess the question is, can they actually turn things around this season and make the playoffs?
No, I don't think they turn it around. And also, if you're not going to trade Anthony Davis, you want to at least see him healthy, and you want to at least see what opportunity that you have. Now, I personally don't see it happening there at the bottom of the West, even though they're 4 or 5 games out of having an opportunity to be in that play-in. You still don't even want to be in that position, and I think there are other teams that are better than them even before they even get to that position. I think this is a season that's kind of gone down a drain. It's been all bad in Dallas since last season, since that trade. And I think they still got some leftover to deal with until they can clean some of these things up. And so, not trading Anthony Davis, That's good to know for Anthony Davis and gives him a chance to get back on the floor and catch a rhythm and get healthy and see what's next for him. But I don't think they salvaged this season at all as it stands, especially with the news about Kyrie coming out. We don't know that to be true. Now, what I do know about Kyrie, if he's healthy, I know he likes to hoop. I know he likes to play basketball no matter what the situation is. So we'll see how that pans out, but I don't think they saved this season.
By the way, Chandler, I think the big part of that as well is why is Mark Cuban putting quotes out like this? Because as far as we know, he's just really a really opinionated season ticket holder. And I stole that quote from Tim Cowlishaw of the Dallas Morning News. But what does this mean? Is he actually officially now sort of the spokesperson for the team again?
I think with all the drama surrounding the Nico situation, how south that went and how quickly it went, I think Mark still definitely has a voice. I think he's always been affiliated, right? Even when he makes the sale to Dumont and the Addison family, he's still sitting there courtside. You still see him at all the season ticket holder events. He's still very much involved, talking about we as the Dallas Mavericks. So just because he sold them initially and was kind of, put to the side a little bit, I still think he now has more of a voice, more of an opinion. And I think they're just, quite frankly, listening more now that Nico is gone and they're going to bring in a new GM. I do think that they're just going to have an interim for the rest of this season. And then come the summer and the off season, hire a full-time guy that's a qualified position. But I do think Mark at least now is a familiar face. He can relate to that fan base. The fan base likes him. They trust him. He's brought that city a championship. So there is that whole history with Mark Cuban where he still has some juice with the organization.
That was weird.
That's what I was gonna say. Dallas needs a voice right now, but they need a voice that they can trust. And Mark Cuban is that guy. Like, they know that they can trust him. This fan base needs some soothing. They need a voice that can soothe them over, that can kind of calm everybody down. and Mark Cuban is that guy in Dallas that can do that for this fan base and for that organization, where we can kind of calm the seas and try to get this thing back on the right track. So I don't have any problem with him saying anything or putting out statements or anything of that nature. He can be the majority owner or the highest priced fan there is, but we know what his pedigree is and we know what he's contributed and what he's invested in the Dallas Mavericks over the course of 30 to 40 years of being a part of that organization. So I ain't trying to hear him being a big fan, a most expensive fan, or whatever they want to liken him to be. He's very much part of this organization in whatever capacity he wants to be.
Most powerful fan ever. Lou Gilbert Arenas, woohoo, said that the Pistons fans should be worried because now that Cade got that big shoe deal, every shoe company's got an agenda, and he's pretty sure that staying in Detroit for Cade is not on their agenda. What do you make of this? You buying that?
No, I'm not buying that. You've seen a lot of guys have success in small fan bases, and one of their biggest athletes of all time in LeBron James was in one of the smallest markets of all time in Cleveland, and they made it a hotbed for Nike from the wall length billboards every year to promotions inside the arena, and they did just fine in Cleveland. If Cade Cunningham can have that type of impact on the city of Detroit as a Nike athlete, and Nike gets behind him and energize that city in the same way, and it's a great partnership on both ends, I think he's just fine in Detroit. And also, he ain't going nowhere. Like, Detroit sees it, the organization sees it, Cade sees it. This is an opportunity for Nike to expand their footprint on another small fan base or a small market of a fan base. And Detroit is known for a basketball city, especially when you have a winner. So I think this works in Detroit's favor, and it works in Nike's favor to have such a young guy and to be in a market like Detroit.
Yeah, I disagree with this because considering he just signed a 5-year, $224 million contract extension to stay in Detroit, he's not going anywhere. JB Bickerstaff would never let this guy walk. And I'm just happy that Nike actually, ponied up. Because I know for a fact that Cade Cunningham had huge contract offers from other shoe brands, whether they were here or whether they were Chinese brands. He had more money on the table, and Nike came up and they stepped up to the plate and gave him his own signature shoe. So I thought that was great. And this is a dude who's been highly touted, #1 pick, Like he's done all the proper steps of all and reached all the expectations that he's had. And now he's turned it to another level. So I'm hyped for him that he even got this. And like Lou said, Kyrie Irving had his own shoe. I mean, LeBron had his own shoe. Kyrie had his own shoe in Cleveland. John Morant got his own shoe in Memphis.
When did KD get a shoe? Was he in OKC? Like when KD got his first shoe?
Yeah.
So yeah, like that's
obviously it's not a Nike shoe, but SGA is getting his own shoe in Oklahoma City, which is arguably the smallest market.
That is a Nike shoe. That's Converse.
It's more about the player now than the market. Like, so those guys are marketable. Those guys are hooping. They're playing at elite level. I don't give a damn what city they play in. They're getting a shoe, and K deserves that Nike shoe.
We don't do markets anymore. We're past markets. That's 2000s. All right, let's do this. Take a quick break. Some crazy endings we have to get to before we're done for the day. We'll be right back.
Run it up, run it back.
Gotta at least take a look at what happened around the league a little bit more. 3.8 seconds left. Here we go. Knicks up to Williams with the inbound to Brandon Williams. Boom, boom, boom. Scores with 0.7 seconds left, but called for charging.
Oh.
Well, there you go, Chandler. Sounds like you don't agree.
I mean, when you watch it in slow-mo, it's a great call. He does hook him. I hate the fact that the end of the game is, decided by this. But it's a foul.
What'd you say,
hook.
Lou? Oh, yeah.
It's a hook. It's a hook. When I watched it in full, it's a ballsy call. It's the right call. By the way, great execution.
It's the right call, Chandler.
Yeah, no kidding.
You know what this call does, Chandler? And shout out to Marat. That's the referee that called that. That shows us how much of professionals they are, that he could see that in real time, in full speed. And it took us to see it in slow motion to be like, no, that's a good call. He saw this in fast action. Anywhere else, I'm thinking this is an and one actually. But looking at it in slow motion, it's clearly the right call.
It's just a heartbreaker because it's Dallas and you're about to beat the Knicks and it felt good.
There's 4 minutes to go in this game.
That play call was incredible.
Pretty.
And Landry, we've been teammates before. You dodged a bullet, boy. You almost gave up a layup for game.
When there was 4 minutes left in this game, I just knew Dallas was going to somehow smoke this game. And then it comes down to that call on perfect execution. Knicks gave them so many chances, missing like 6 free throws in a row. And like, it was just, brutal, but it was the right call. It was the right call.
And Jalen Brunson goes, there's drama around this one.
Great game,
We got another one too. Vooch with a game-winning buzzer beater 3, giving the Bulls the win last night. But this comes after Portland had a 4-point lead with 16 seconds left, which that hurts.
We're gonna holler at y'all.
Why you're up 2? Why is this guy going in the paint and doubling the guy in the lane and letting them hit a walk? Like, what is he doing right there?
Had a brain fart.
Stay out with your man and don't give up a game winner. Look at this guy in the corner. What is he doing?
Yeah,
Stay with
Vooch.
He fell asleep. He thought they were going for 2 and he fell asleep, turned his back, cost him a game.
Little buzzer beater.
Big time shot by Vooch.
Yeah.
And the Bulls are back.
It's exhilarating. Hold on. Settle down.
They smoked 5 in a row. Now they got 2 back.
The Bulls are right where they're going to be for the rest of the season, right there.
Yeah, you're probably right.
That's okay. Just stay steady. You'll be all right in the end. We'll see what happens. That will actually do it for us. Off tomorrow, back on Monday. Y'all have a great weekend.
Have a good weekend.
Run it back, yeah.